Being an entrepreneur is a goal for some, but the 2008 financial crisis, fears of a coming recession have many people on edge about taking that next step. Well, our next guest has been helping people create a plan to elevate every aspect of your life to excellence.
Jeff Lerner is the CEO and founder of ENTRE Institute and joins us now. Good morning.
How are you, buddy?
Hey, good morning.
It's great to have you.
So are you seeing the upside of people getting into side hustles and so forth because of the upcoming recession? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, this term side hustles kind of gets thrown around a lot now.
Absolutely.
And it's been popularized. And I definitely see a lot of side hustle activity. I work with a lot of people that have sort of fumbled and stumbled into side hustles.
Okay.
But I think there's a fundamental distinction between a side hustle that's kind of a ancillary second thing in your life and something that could actually grow into real job security or kind of that insurance policy that I think people are looking for. And I think that requires a different way of approaching the subject.
Okay.
But, you know, that's one of the things I teach about.
Yeah, absolutely. I know the Wall Street Journal, they recently put out a report talking about a decline in young entrepreneurs because they're afraid of failure, which who isn't really? Is this a growing trend? Are we seeing the younger generation be a little bit more weary?
Yeah, so I have a theory about this. It's not scientifically vetted, but I do have a fair amount of experience with this. I think a lot of it correlates to student debt.
Oh,
you know, the young person's business model now is to take on a ton of debt and then enter the job market, and essentially they have to prioritize security over growth if they have to make a choice, because they're saddled with this, you know, diploma / receipt / note payable.
Right.
And so they don't, I think when they talk about fear of failure, who wouldn't have fear of failure when you owe the government six figures?
Exactly, when you're looking at 1,000
from day
plus.
one.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, you know, it's actually the non-college grads that are more entrepreneurial now.
Huh, that
Pretty
makes
cool.
sense.
Which is kind of cool because in a way it's flipped, where the college degree used to be your key to your future. I almost see it, I mean, this is probably controversial, but I almost see it as a little bit of a handicap.
No, I'm with you. It depends on if you want to be a doctor.
Right.
You want to be a lawyer.
Exactly.
Sure, but there's a
Exactly.
lot of professions where maybe you could skip that, get some real life experience, and save a ton of debt.
Yeah. Or get a sales job, or do something that's sort of more entrepreneurial and you know, eat what you kill in nature, and then figure out what you want to do with your life.
Oh, wow. Okay, because it's dependent a lot more on skills.
Skills.
And specific skills.
That's the key.
And
certification is not as valued now. Skills. At the end of the day, people care what you can do.
Job.
The results.
Exactly, of course. You've helped, thousands of entrepreneurs, all levels of their career. Advice for people that are scared about starting a business. How do you get that fear out and you start thinking with your brain and a little more, less with your heart?
Well, that is literally the million-dollar question for people. You know, I take sort of maybe an existential view of this, and I look at the opportunity cost, where what does it say for your life if you never take that chance?
Of course.
I mean, I think that there's a risk to never becoming the person that you could become, and when it comes to starting a business, you're going to develop skills that you can't develop in a job. You're going to develop a level of accountability in your life that you can't develop in a job because there's just no support structure around you. And I think you're going to raise your standards because it's all on you. Yeah. And even if you end up back in a job, you're going to be better and you're going to be worth more and you're going to be harder to fire.
No question.
So what are some of the pitfalls that people who say, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna jump full time into entrepreneurship? Like, what advice do you give them?
Is there one
what
common?
What should they avoid?
I think that it's so much of it is psychological. Again, I work with aspiring entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that are trying to level up, and it's almost always a mindset conversation. I feel like 99% of my job is Tony Robbins, and only 1% of my job is like a business professor.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You know, where it's literally moving from, you know, let's call it a corporate gig into true entrepreneurship. It's like moving from touch football into like gladiator warfare.
Okay.
And you just have to realize what you're getting into and do the work on yourself to be ready for that level of accountability and responsibility. And if you can handle it, you know, to the victor come the spoils. Like, it's worth it.
Absolutely.
Wow,
Well, we're talking about your life. I mean, you had started as a pianist and you started a restaurant right when everything was going pretty bad in the economy about a decade plus ago, and now you're doing great things as an entrepreneur yourself, and you're helping other entrepreneurs with the ENTRE Institute.
Yes.
Love it.
This is a longer form of the 5-minute conversation we're having right now. But tell us about this institute and how people can get involved with it.
Yeah, I mean, basically, ENTRE was a very natural extension of my story. Like you mentioned, I was a jazz piano player, which even when you're successful, I mean, blessings to all you jazz musicians out there, but even when you're successful, you're kind of struggling. Like, it's just a hard gig.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I lost a restaurant. I was so in over my head in debt, and I started learning, like we talked about, certain skills. It didn't matter what my college degree was in. I had a degree in jazz piano. I might as well not have had a college degree.
Right.
But I learned certain skills, and those skills are worth a lot of money. And I was able to completely change my life, paid off almost $500,000 of debt in 18 months.
Wow.
And I realized these skills could help a lot of people, and that's essentially the growth of ENTRE Institute.
You know, if you have any extra cash, I got about like 300,000 left in my house. That'd be great.
Cool. Yeah, we'll talk.
I don't think he's gonna do that. If you want to learn more about ENTRE Institute, where do we go?
You can visit entreinstitute.com, and probably the best way to really understand what it's all about at its core. You know, ENTRE Institute's kind of a brochure site.
Yeah.
Follow me on social.
Gotcha.
Go to Jeff Lerner Official on any of the major social platforms and see what we're all about.
Living the brand.
I
It's
love
great
that.
having you, buddy.
Thank
Jeff,
you so much.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right. They help you make that next step towards personal, professional, and even physical excellence. You want to learn more about ENTRE Institute? Head to the website on your screen. Or, like Jeff said, follow it on social. He's on Facebook. He's everywhere. ENTRE Nation, they're a proud sponsor of Las Vegas Morning Blend.